So today I will be reviewing Scientology and the Aftermath, Season 2, Episode 6. So I finally got around to reviewing Scientology and the Aftermath. I've been saying I was going to do it forever, and you know, I do 10 shows a week, so I finally got around to it. And let me say one word to describe it: riveting. Absolutely riveting. And I really just came in on a really good episode that answered a lot of my questions. So I don't know if you've seen my news articles about the whole Leah Remini and the Church of Scientology argument that's going down. And I would think when I'm writing these articles, well, you know, are all of these celebrities crazy? You know, these are some of my favorite actors here. You know, you're telling me Tom Cruise is a nut job? And I just couldn't believe it, because he was like John Travolta. I love, like, my whole list of favorite actors is almost Scientologists. So I was finding it very, very hard to believe. So this specific episode focuses in on celebrities, and I probably got every question answered that I ever crossed my mind. It was really answered. It was answered in detail, in a very good way. But before I start the review, I have to say I certainly have a whole new amount of respect for Leah Remini. Now, yeah, she won an Emmy and, you know, got a lot of viewers and all that stuff. But it's more than that to me. It's about her strength and her refusal to be silenced and speaking her truth. You know, a lot of people find it very hard in life to just simply speak their truth, say how they feel. And it's even more difficult to speak your truth and say how you feel when you have someone threatening you, okay? So before I get into the review, I just wanted to say I have a whole new respect for Leah Remini. I liked her before, you know, with Kings and Queens and all that, but now, love her, really love her. Now let's get into the review. So at the beginning of the episode, we are introduced to this lady who is a recruiter for the Celebrity Center. That's what she called it, the Celebrity Center. What the Celebrity Center is it's a division of the church that only focuses in on celebrities. And not just celebrities, they have categories of celebrities, okay? And which will determine your category would be your influence and your money, okay? So they have a whole division dedicated to going after celebrities. And when they go after them, they go hard. They went through a renovation center. They try to keep the Celebrity Center as nice as they can possibly keep it. Make it seem upscale, make it seem, you know, high class, you know, almost like the difference between flying first class and then flying coach, okay? So that's one thing they do. So everything is on a nicer scale when it comes to the celebrities. And then what they do is they pressure each celebrity to recruit another celebrity. And the reasons why they want celebrities so bad is for two reasons. Clout. You're not going to think people are crazy if, you know, certain celebrities are, you know, Scientologists, and that was my problem. I couldn't realize, like, how you telling me Tom Cruise is crazy? You're telling me John Travolta's crazy? It gives them legitimacy. So, and then another thing why they want celebrities: money. Isn't that why half the world wants celebrities to do everything? They know celebrities make a lot of money. The more successful, the more money you're going to bring in. And so that's their bread and butter, is their celebrities. So this makes sense to me right away, because first of all, it explains why the celebrities aren't all saying, well, we were, you know, kidnapped and we were beaten, we were slapped. No, it's because they treat them 10 times, no, 30 times better than your average civilian. So right there. So when the celebrity says these things aren't going on in the church, because it's not going on to them, they are in their whole little different island by themselves. They're what you would call royalty. Now, and Leah said, when you go out into the regular world, anyway, you know, it's no secret, celebrities get privileges. But when you're in Scientologist, she said it's on a whole nother level that you can never imagine. I believe this. I believe this because that's your bread and butter. Like, I'm not going to, you know, piss off my boss. If I do, then I get fired. Well, I'm not going to piss off my favorite celebrity who can leave and then not give any more money, okay? And so that right there could be an explanation to why the celebrities' explanation of Scientology and their treatment is so much different than those average citizens. But it doesn't stop there. So they pressure the celebrities to bring in other celebrities. And they said Mimi Rogers was responsible for bringing in Tom Cruise. Remember his first wife? Well, she just not, they didn't just hit the jackpot. Tom Cruise is Hollywood royalty with fame worldwide. I mean, Tom Cruise can go to Zimbabwe and they would know who he was. So this is their #1 celebrity. Now, Leah said they have celebrities, but they treat them differently according to donations. And she said when she was able to donate $1 million, then she got pushed to the top and she was able to be in the same room as Tom Cruise. Now, this makes sense to me. Like, it just feels right. This does not feel like a lie. So I was all in when I was listening to the Celebrity Center recruiter, but then it got better. So then they brought on an ex-Scientologist. He is a Hollywood producer and his name was Paul Haggis. Paul Haggis is a really, really successful Hollywood producer. He might even be a writer, but I know him from this show called 30 something. He was a member of the Scientology group. He said he joined it when he was in his early 30s. He might have said 35 or something like that. And he had a lot of friends in this group and he was very dedicated to the group. All of his friends, his wife was in it, everything. Okay, so Paul said that things started to turn for him when they had this legislation in California. It was called Proposition 8 and they wanted to make it illegal to be homosexual. Okay, and he just didn't sit right with him. This wasn't a part of his beliefs. He didn't like it. So he was watching some show or somehow he found out that it was a small article that the Church of Scientology supported this proposition. Okay, so he called the Scientologist PR guy and his name was Tommy Davis, and he said there's this article that they mentioned the Scientology in that is in support of Proposition 8 and I need you guys to recuse the statement. And Tommy blew him off. He said okay, we'll get to it. They never got to it. He called back because he wasn't letting it go. And sometimes things just don't sit right with you. You know, like, I understand. He didn't want to let it go. So the guy, Tommy said, he finally got in touch with him again. And Tommy said, listen, it was such a small article. We don't want to bring attention to the situation. Why don't we just let it go? And he said, I don't want to let it go. These are not a part of my beliefs. And Scientology doesn't believe this either. And so why should we let it go? He basically got blown off. They kept saying they would do things about it. They didn't do anything about it. So that was the first signs to him that something wasn't right about Scientology. Okay, fast forward in the future, and now he's watching television and he sees Tommy on television saying that Scientology doesn't have a disconnection. Now what that is if they deem somebody bad, now I don't remember the correct term, so I'm going to use my own terms. If they deem someone bad, they'll tell the church to basically shun that person, okay? I know shun is used in the Amish community, but I don't know the correct term for it. I think they call you declared. I don't know what it is. But anyway, they don't want it, they isolate you if they deem you bad, okay? And so they do have this disconnection policy, but he saw Tommy on TV saying that they didn't have the policy. So he decided to look into this. It just didn't sit right with him. And he said he went online and he started seeing all of these sites and things like that were people coming out telling their truth, saying this is what happened to me, that's what happened to me. Yes, I was shunned. A lot of people were saying I was I think they called it declared. I don't remember the words. I don't want to know the words because that's not my thing, Scientology. But in the end, the guy was lying, and basically Paul had proof that he was lying because he was hearing other people's stories. And so he decided to do something about it. So he decided he was going to type up a letter and send it to 25 of his closest friends, because that's just what he felt like he wanted to do at the time. He wasn't going to send the letter to the press or anything. This was still at this time being handled in-house, okay? And so when he released the letter, he said he didn't hear anything for a couple days. And one day he came home and a group of his closest celebrity friends were standing outside of his house, okay? And they all wanted to talk to him. And he thought they were going to be upset about some of the things that was in the letter. But they weren't. They were upset because he wrote the letter. And they were like, how could you say these things about the church? And he was saying, because it's how I feel, and it's my truth. And then now Leah doesn't show the letter. I wish she would have, but I don't really need the letter. The story just makes sense to me. So they were upset, and he was upset that they were upset about him talking badly about the church, but not about what some of the other people went through in the church, okay? So he knew right then that this wasn't right. He knew that he was going to be shunned, and it just, when they don't like you, they go through these scare tactics, is what I'm going to call it. They will isolate you, say bad things about you. They will just act crazy, okay? They act crazy. And this is, to me, cult-like behavior. Because if I want to leave a church, I should be able to leave a church without being bullied. That's what it is, without being bullied, without fearing of losing my friends, okay? So they didn't want anyone to talk to him anymore. Well, I'm skipping over a lot of things. Let me go back. So they said, okay, fine. As long as you don't send this letter out to the press. So there they are again, worried about their image, not about what's really bothering you, Paul. Why are you saying these things? Let's fix these things. No, now their whole goal is to don't get this letter out publicly. I have to back up a little bit because I forgot a very important issue. When he decided to leave the church and wrote the letter, he went to his wife, and his wife, Deborah, decided to go with him. And so I thought that was very touching, because it seems that in this religion, if you say anything about leaving, you get shunned right away. And not just from your friends, I'm talking about from family members, from loved ones. And one of his loved ones that shunned him, I know that's an Amish word, but I think they called it declared, that one of the family members that isolated him was his own sister, who he said he loved very, very much. And they never she ended up passing away, and they never got a chance to reconcile because she was so into Scientology, and she thought what he did was so bad that she just followed the rest of the church, which was isolate yourself from him. Now, he said one of the people that didn't isolate him, he had went to a party and he seen another Scientologist and they spoke to him, was Leah Remini. But she said she felt bad about it at the time because she felt like she was a coward. I don't know why she would think that, but maybe, I don't know, it's hard for you to see yourself on the outside, but he was very appreciative of that. And I thought that showed a lot of strength, but she thought that showed cowardness, and she's absolutely no way, any form, a coward. So another thing I forgot to mention in this meeting with all of his friends surrounding him, it was several meetings. It was the friends, they walked away. He had set up another meeting with Tommy Davis again, and when he said they were talking and he was trying to explain why he thought these allegations of abuse were bad, and he wanted to compare it to Martin Luther King. He said, but when he said the name Martin Luther King, Tommy got up and walked out. That was the end of that conversation. I mean, it was very crazy. So now he's out of the Scientology, and here becomes the smear campaign, like they do everybody who they think is going to say bad things about it. If you want to be a Scientologist and you try to talk to someone they declared isolated, there's a word for it, but I can't think of the name, you will get in trouble. So they have tons of footage of people won't even say anything bad about the church, won't even bring up Paul's name. They showed John Travolta, he said they won't talk about it. You know, these are so-called good friends of his. They were shunning him, and I feel really, really bad about it. It's really bad. So now the smear campaign begins with him, and there'll be these printings online saying bad things about him. They try to go after your career. They try to go after your reputation. It's very awful. And of course they're doing Leah this way because Leah refuses to shut up too. She wants to speak her truth, and this is her way of helping anybody who is stuck in that religion that wants to get out but doesn't know how. I think it's admirable what she's doing. But they start printing bad things about her too. Now this time they're calling her a bigot. They call Leah Remini a bigot. They're going to say whatever they can to smear your name. Same for Paul, anybody that leaves, but especially anybody who leaves with a little, should I say, fame or clout or money, you know, influence. They really, really try to smear people with influence because people with influence has the ability to touch other lives. And so they're really going to speak bad about Paul. They're really going to say mean things about Leah. It's just insane. And at this point, there is no doubt in my mind that it is a cult. But I do believe the other celebrities when they say it's not a bad religion because they're not treating them that way. And when they do treat them that way, and then the celebrities decide to cut ties, then they're going to say mean things about them too. They're going to call them bitter and maybe bigots, whatever, and they're going to come after their reputation. This is horrible. This is not a religion at all. In my opinion, this is definitely a cult. Now, with most cults, everything they say is not bad. That's how they lure you in. Some things they're going to say make a lot of sense. Some things they say you can apply to your life in a positive way. But it's also mixed in with crazy nonsense. That's every cult. Just like the guy, Jim Jones. I mean, it was back in the 70s. I wasn't alive, but I heard about, you know, he had all these people drink cyanide, and they moved to a little place in Africa, I believe it was. With these cults, they just get crazier and crazier and crazier. And so while they might be, like Scientology specifically, might be nice to their celebrity clientele until their celebrity clientele does something wrong. And they really, for the commoner, they really try to get in there and divide the family. They believe in separating the children from the parents, and this is all about mind control. I'll be back next week because now I want to hear real people's stories. And I just like documentaries because they take you into a world you would never go in normally. Like, I would never be a Scientologist. Like, no offense, but this wouldn't cross my mind, you know. And so it's good to see how other people live, see other people's strengths, see other people's weaknesses, so I could use those for my life. That's what I do. That's why I love documentaries. Love it so much. I'll be back next week. Thanks for watching, and talk to you next time. Bye.